Well, I'm really proud of our team and the way that we've given a great effort and shown our heart in these first two games, both of them being close games and both of them being games where down the stretch I thought we played with a lot of teamwork and we played with a lot of toughness. Really excited about the growth of our team, and just as we continue down a process of continuing to learn from all those opportunities that we're getting in games and continuing to get our players experience in those types of situations. One thing I really like about our team that I think we're doing well right now is I really think that our team is making good adjustments and responding well to some of those adjustments that are needed in game. Sometimes at the beginning of the year, you don't know exactly everything that the other teams are going to do, and I think our team is adapting really, really well on the floor, especially coming out of halftime. I like the balance that we're going to get from this team offensively. I think we're going to continue to find our rhythm offensively, and I like the shots that we're getting, and I like that we're getting to the free throw line. Defensively, I think we've done a solid job. Always room for improvement. Gotta rebound the ball a little bit better and play without fouling. But when we're able to consistently put four quarters together defensively, I think we have the ability to do that. So overall, just continuing to learn and grow with this team, and it's gonna be good this week to get back on the floor together.
You talked about the team making good adjustments in game. They're probably having to adjust to playing with each other too, right? I mean, a lot of new faces that are playing together for the first time. It's only 2 games in, right?
Yeah, for sure. We're going to have to still continue to find our rhythm offensively, and I think we're getting closer and closer and closer to finding that. And we've got a lot of different lineups that we can put on the floor, and we've got a lot of different matchups that we can throw at other teams. And so doing that, you've still got to have good rhythm within those different adjustments that we're making. And I like what our team is doing together on the floor right now.
You mentioned that too. Shooting numbers probably aren't where you want them. You feel like you guys are getting good shots? They're just not going in. Like where do you feel like the offense is at? Yeah,
I do feel like we're getting good shots. For most of the time, I like the shots that we're getting. I want us to continue to take those shots that we're getting, and I think those are going to fall. I think again, it's a matter of just kind of finding our rhythm a little bit. I like that we're offensive rebounding. If we don't hit it, we got to get second chances, and then we got to find other ways to get to the free throw line, and I think we're trying to do that.
Coach, did you feel that your flow was a little better in the second game than in the first game in terms of how you guys moved without the ball?
I did. I felt like we were able to just be in a little bit more sync half court offensively whenever we were at Missouri State compared to the first game where we felt like it was a lot of transition flow for us, and then the second game I felt like we worked well together. I did.
First couple of games just separated by 2-3 points on both of them. You kind of across the country see a lot of teams that will schedule someone just to get a huge win, kind of feel good. Is there an advantage to playing really tight games early on in the season and kind of seeing how players play down the stretch in close matchups?
Yeah, I think there's certainly an advantage to all these opportunities that we're getting in these games. Our team needs to continue to gain experience on the floor, and we're gaining experience in a lot of really critical situations. And I like how we're responding in those situations. I like how we're attacking situations in those close games that we have. I mean, in both these games, we've been down at halftime, and we've had to come back and be a team that's really making some of those adjustments to be able to move forward and be in the games the way that we have been. Close games are always really fun because it's kind of what you train for in some of these moments in practice, and it's been really fun to see our team practice certain situations and then be able to execute those situations on their own really well in the game.
Michael? What did not go well for you down the stretch yesterday that did go well for you in the first game that changed the result?
I think both of those games were really close games, and either game could have gone either way for either team. Obviously, we've got to be able to defend without fouling. I felt like when we put other teams in the bonus and we give them those points at the free throw line, that's really tough. And then on the flip side of that, we've got to shoot a little bit of a better percentage. We've got to be able to knock down our free throws. And then, kind of midway through the game, we gave up some offensive rebounds that we needed as we were kind of making that comeback. We needed to get some defensive stops earlier to be able to do that. So all in all, that's probably a pretty long answer for you, but it's not one huge major thing. It's this combination of being really consistent and all these small details that's going to make a big difference for us.
It seemed like there were maybe a few more people that you got in yesterday, maybe didn't have a chance to get in the opener. Kind of what went into your process to kind of get a few more people involved, at least for a small amount of time, in a close game?
Yeah, for sure. We're still not playing with a complete roster yet, in our games, and that definitely has a part to it. And then again, we're really young, so being able to get those growing opportunities are going to be really important. I felt like yesterday, some of those decisions were made out of foul trouble. We got in foul trouble pretty early, and we wanted to look at some different lineups and some different matchups. Sometimes that was because of our lineup that was on the floor. Sometimes that was because of the lineup the other team had on the floor. However, we could create the most advantageous situations.
In the time that you've been here, what do you think about the Oral Roberts game and just generally those types of games? I mean, kind of rivalry games. What are your opinion on that?
Yeah, rivalry games are so much fun, and being able to have the Mayor's Cup, and be able to have that in the Reynolds Center this year, it's going to be such a fun atmosphere. I know our men have ORU this week, and then we have ORU this weekend, and so overall it's going to be a big week for the city of Tulsa, and we're looking forward to all the continued support from our community for that.
Anybody else? Spencer, you got one?
Obviously, it's a really small sample size with only 2 games, but the team's going to be different this year with the two-headed monster last year, and kind of teams maybe kind of zeroing in on Crawford this year. How do you kind of get her going a little bit and kind of back to what you kind of would expect her to be doing this season, or is that just a case of teams now are going to be kind of zeroing in on her, so it's got to be like the pieces around her?
I think it's a little bit of both. That's a good question. And I think it's going to be a little bit of both about how we're going to be able to free her up to get her to some of her strengths to be able to use. But I think part of that's also going to be dependent on kind of those other players on the floor being able to use their strengths and being able to create some of those things as well. I do think we're going to be a balanced offensive team this year, and I like that. I like that we have a lot of different weapons. Obviously you can see in our games in some different times and some different moments, we're going to some different people for some different things. I don't just like the balance that we have from a scoring standpoint. I really love the versatility that we're playing with offensively. And I think as we continue to just find our rhythm, you're going to find a lot more things that are going to open up for each player, whether that's in transition or whether that's in the half court, as we kind of get a little bit better sync offensively.